Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this, what is it, Wednesday? I was going to say Friday. I wish it was Friday. On this Wednesday, hope it finds you well out there. We got the big meeting. Yeah, well, they've been meeting. We'll get the announcement later this afternoon. How big is the cut going to be? Everybody chiming in. Some of my favorite guys like Jeff Gunloch, Ray Dalio, Jamie Dimon, they all have different opinions about what the Fed needs to do. And it's something where I find it interesting because I think in the grand scheme of all of these things, it really won't matter. And what I mean by that is the rest of the world has slowly but surely turned away from using dollars exclusively. The rest of the world, primarily, I'll say most of the central banks out there, with the exception of maybe the G7 countries, all have plans. They're either actively buying gold or they plan on buying gold. And, of course, what is it that they're going to sell to buy that gold? Dollars. Yesterday, Russia announced they're getting ready for the latest BRIC summit. A couple of things they've confirmed. The BRIC bridge payment system, that is up and operational now. They're running tests and doing all these things. But the bigger, that's the equivalent of SWIFT. The bigger thing is they announced that 34 more countries. So right now, BRICS has 11 members. They started with 5. They added 6 last year, including Iran and Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, right? A lot of the Mideast countries. Russia saying 34 countries have requested formally to become part of the BRICS. I don't know that they'll allow all 34 in at once. That's a lot to bring in at once. But I guess the message is this is what we're up against. Whether or not, we're going to lower it 1/4 point, 1/2, and pretend like it's going to make this big difference. It doesn't. This is a fiat money debt-based system. Yesterday had another problem with another auction. This time it was an ugly 20-year auction that we struggled to sell. And Jason, I think a lot of people out there, they want to believe. We all want to believe. Man, if we just vote for the right person for president, everything's going to be good, right? If the central bank, if they just cut interest rates a couple of more times or a couple of times or however many times, hey, everything's going to be good. It'll be okay. And the answer to that is no, it hasn't been okay for a very, very long time. The 20-year auction yesterday, it wasn't even a lot. It was only $13 billion. Had a big tail. The yield jumped to over 4%. So, you got a 10-year note that was like in the 3.6s. So it tells you how big the tail was on this note. The demand was ugly. The bid to cover well below it. For $19 billion, you'd think you'd have pretty strong bidders. The internals were even worse. The indirects only took down 65%. That's like 10% less than normal. And of course, what ended up happening, the dealers had to take double what they would normally take down in these auctions. And Jason, these are signs that, hey, guess what? The demand for U.S. debt continues to wane. We just passed the $2 trillion mark now for fiscal year 2024, and it's going to end here in a couple of weeks. And we got lucky because we had a good stock market, so capital gains tax came into play. Think about guys like Buffett and Diamond and others doing all that. Some they had to pay their capital gains tax, helped out the deficit this year. But the situation today, I'm going to tell you, I don't know what's going to happen. I think right now it's pretty close to whether or not they go 50 basis points or not. I still think it's going to be 25, but I think they're going to let the world know we got a lot of rate cuts coming.
I think it'll be 25 basis points, too. I think they're going to tread lightly. I think they need to watch the data, right? They got to watch the data. They can't go 50 basis points. They got to tread lightly. But here's the other thing, Joe. As you talk about de-dollarization worldwide, we keep talking about how inflation is here to stay for the foreseeable future. There's one place you can spend dollars. If you're China, there's one place you can spend dollars. If you're Japan, you can spend them right here. And when all those dollars keep coming back, and that's what those auctions are problems. There's too many dollars floating around, Joe, and it's just not valuable. So I think as these foreign nations slowly but surely figure out that they're going to get less and less for those dollars, they're going to start pushing more and more this way. And the inflation in this country, we could see an inflative event possibly that the world's never seen if things were to go rapidly in one direction, which is all dollars get cashed in, Joe. Then watch what happens to your gold.
Yeah, I get it. Some of you are worried about abortion rights. Some of you are worried about the border. Some of you are worried about taxes, right? Some of you, you may be worried about World War III or the government taking freedoms and all of these. They're all great things to worry about. They are. But guess what? The thing that most people aren't worried about right now, the debt, well, that doesn't bother me right now. That's the mistake. Because that's the biggest problem this country's going to face, and it's coming like a freight train. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason, we're coming right back after the break. Joe and Jason here on this Wednesday. We got the big Fed meeting coming up on the announcement and the press conference from Jay Powell. Let's take a quick look at the markets. The Dow was down 70. The S&P's down 4. The NASDAQ up 4. So pretty quiet. The 10-year note back up to 3.7. Again, mostly because of the issue with the auction yesterday as the government struggled to sell the 20-year notes. Crude oil is flat right now, $71 and change. By the way, another big draw in Cushing, Oklahoma stockpiles. But again, listen, oil's still pretty, I guess we got to consider $70 inexpensive. Gold is higher today, so gold kind of rallied back yesterday. Right now, depending on where you look, up $3 to $8, but right now gold's $25.75. $25.75. Silver's down 30 cents right now. And as we talk about being more diversified, be smart with your money. Understand that you have to look out for yourself. Calling your, I got my financial guy. Believe me, your financial guy doesn't know crap. No offense. They really don't. What do they know? They know what their company tells them. Right? Buy this and buy that and do this and do that and everything's going to be A-okay. It's not true. Go out to All American Gold today. You know what? There's another, it's about 20 minutes. Lynette Zhang. Listen to her. If you don't want to take my word for it, that's fine. You shouldn't. Do your own homework. Be your own central bank. She flat out tells you, listen, that money in the bank is not yours. You don't own it. I know that makes people mad. It really does, but you don't. And all the rules that are set up are to make sure that you, when it matters the most, because let's face it, right now, do you worry about it? No. Everything's okay. Right? Hey, it's not great, but it's not bad. It's okay. But when it gets bad, what happens? You're going to find out how many people out there listen. How many times has your bank told you no? And don't tell me it hasn't happened. It happens here. We're a big depositor. We are. We send out wires. Like it's going out of style. You would be amazed how many times the bank's just randomly have changed the rules. You know what? They just changed the rules again 2 weeks ago. You know, we do a lot of cash business here. A lot of people like to be private. They like to pay in cash. As I tell you, it actually cost me money, cost Jason money to put cash in the bank. It does. They charge us. You know, remember cash off. I pay in cash. Can I get a discount? Yeah, no, you can't. But guess what? Let's just say that, well, you know what? It happened last week. I put, or Monday. Sorry, on Monday, I put $35,000 in cash in the bank. You know, because we had taken a lot of cash in, got to put some of it in. I put it in the bank. Do you know what the bank said after 2 weeks ago, starting 2 weeks ago? Well, the money's in your account. Yes. Yeah, but you've got to wait. So let's say I put it in on Monday. For it, now it's in my account. It shows that I've deposited. I mean, it's cash. It's available, but not. When sending a wire, let's just say on Tuesday, I need to send a wire. Okay, so I put the cash in on Monday. On Tuesday, I need to send the wire. That $35,000 in cash I put in the bank can't count. Right? Nope, you got to wait a whole nother day before you can use that as far, what are you talking about? But yeah, why? I don't know. You ask the people at the bank. That's just the rule now. How many of you gone in the bank and asked for cash and they told you no? How many times? It's not yours. It's not going to be yours. You better get more diversified. That's all I'm telling you. Get your gold and silver put away. Check out our friends at Y Refi. At least it's something where you get a good fixed rate of return, a really good fixed rate of return. At least it's not correlated to Wall Street. You can use it as income. You can turn it on, turn it off. You can do whatever you want. You think the FDIC, I'm okay, Joe. They got FDIC insurance. How dumb are people? People are really dumb. They don't have any money. The FDIC's got like $100 billion. Let's go crazy. $125 billion. That wouldn't even insure the deposits of banks you've never heard of. Yeah. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com, or just call them at 888-YREFI24. And here's the sad part, Jason. You know, people don't realize they got the insured deposits, trillions. Listen, insured deposits of all the banks, there's like $9 trillion. The problem is, like 8.5 trillion of it's in 10 banks, right? I mean, it's laughable. It's the uninsured deposits. That's the billionaires, the millionaires, right? All the corporations, the companies. Look at Patriot. How many times I got more than $250,000 in the bank? All the time. Funny how this is going to work, Jason. It really is.
It's well put. I mean, I don't know what else to add to what you just said. Because I was thinking, it's like, well, what am I going to respond? It's because it's just a lot of facts. It's just the way it is, and it needs to be pointed out regularly, Joe, about how the rules can change. I used to say all the time, let people know money is an idea. Right. Money is an idea. And somebody else comes along after you're done in control of the idea, and somebody else new is in charge, and they're going to change the idea. Right? And then something happens, and then you got to change the idea, and money changes. What it is, how it functions. That's what's so good about gold. Gold is a commodity. It's a thing. It's something you hold in your hand, and nobody can really do anything. Right now, there's at least as far as conventional wisdom, nobody can take gold and change it into something else, or nothing. Nobody can take other things and change it into gold. You can't manipulate the supply. It has to be dug, out of the ground or pulled out of a river or something very laboriously. And there's about as much gold per person as there ever has been. There's been more people in the world recently. There's more gold being pulled out, but per person, it's about the same. And gold doesn't have the problem of someone deciding they want to change it. I just want to change what gold is. Now, there's monkeying around in the paper markets. Get people looking at paper too much, then I guess you think gold is higher or lower based off a paper price. But Joe, eventually, that golden rock just ends up pushing the price where it has to go. Your funny money ideas, the lies are shown the light of day once people start to want to buy the gold and hold the gold, Joe, which central banks are showing. They're showing their cards, aren't they, about where they're going?
Yeah, and when you look at what we're talking about here, I'll put it to you this way. For those of you that don't think cash is going away, for those of you that think that you're going to have freedom and prosperity when it comes to your finances, you're crazy. Listen, I can put a $1 million check in the bank today, and it's available to me tomorrow. But yet, when I put cash in the bank, now it's not, you got to wait a day? Right? You got to wait another day? No, it's not available, If you want to send a wire, it's not available. What are you talking about? Right? But these are the games that these institutions are playing. And, of course, you're going to find out that it's going to be the insured guys that are going to be the ones that are going to pay the price. That's just the realities of all of it. Now they're getting ready to stop paying interest again, right? Going to lower the interest rates right back to, okay, we're not going to pay you money to have, money in the bank again. Let me tell you something I didn't know. But Jeff Gundlach was out yesterday telling anybody who would listen, the Fed needs to cut 50 basis points today. They need to cut 50 basis points in the next meeting, and they need to cut 50 basis points at the following meeting. And I'm like, what? Right? What? Come on, Jeff. Come on, man. Well, guess what? He's letting you know that the biggest spread on record is happening right now in the bond markets. Talking about, hey, we've got a Fed funds rate between 5.25% and 5.5%. So let's call it 5.5%. Okay. The 10-year note yesterday was 3.6%. You're talking almost, not quite, but let's call it 1.25% difference between the Fed funds rate and a 10-year note. Now, in a healthy market, that 1.25% difference would be the other way, right? The 10-year note would be yielding, 7.25%, 7.5%, not 3.6%. By the way, that's the biggest on record. What was the previous record? Yeah. The 2008, right before the financial crisis broke, it was a record in the spread, and now we have passed it. Just another. This is the reason. This is why he's saying, hey, the Fed needs to cut and cut aggressively. Because the bond market's the one that tells you where the fear and the risk is. And the bond market is saying, listen, we're right back to the financial crisis, and these idiots don't even know it. And it's something where, and again, I don't know. I didn't look at it that way, right? I kind of looked at, well, gosh, retail sales, they weren't great, but they weren't bad yesterday. Atlanta Fed GDP tracker says third quarter GDP going to be 3%. Oh, I don't know if that's going to hold or not, but still, that's not bad. It's not bad. And yet Jeff Gundlach is saying, Well, everybody's kind of pretending everything's A-OK. Yep, you worry about whether it's going to be Trump or Harris or abortion or the border. Yeah, you keep getting distracted by that stuff. The bond market, which is the debt market, remember, they don't want price discovery, right? Look at what the Treasury's doing to try to manipulate price discovery. Look how many bad auctions we have. And he's warning, if the Fed doesn't cut and cut aggressively, according to Jeff Gundlach, Jason, he's like, this thing's going to get really ugly.
I also think that there's going to be a lot of pressure to get these rates down because, as I've been saying, I think the inflation numbers are going to look lower for a while. And if there's a chance to get lower rates one more time, this is going to be it, right? And if you can convince the Fed to drop 50 basis points 3 times, there's some cheaper money, right? You get a little cheaper money there for a little while, and then the inflation comes roaring back, right? I mean, I heard some facts about COVID. A billionaire a day for 500 days was made during that crash. A billionaire a day for 500 days.
800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason on this Wednesday. The bond king, Jeff Gundlach, saying not only does the Fed need to cut 50 basis points, they need to cut 50 basis points in the next 3 meetings, every meeting, just to bring the spread back down. This is the same setup that we had during the financial crisis. Lynette Zhang just flat out telling you, that money in the bank ain't yours. You think the bank, listen, I've been hearing all kinds of stories. The banks are turning people down. People that usually you go to the banks all the time for credit lines and things like this, being turned down, being turned away. Things are definitely changing out there. I hope people are ready for it. We're going to run the specials that we were running yesterday up until the Fed meeting today, because I don't know what's going to happen. But I've got $20 gold pieces, $2,725. That's $150 over spot, by the way. Right? Not even close to 10%, way below 10% over. But if you buy 20 or more, $2,695. And again, if gold fell $50 today, guess what? They still wouldn't be $27.25 tomorrow. They wouldn't. I'm giving you a hall pass, free buying. And if gold goes up, I'll just say this: gold goes up, all bets are off. Right now, you got gold at $25.75. If gold's $2,600, $27, yeah, it's not happening. But here's your opportunity. You've got between now and, 3 hours from now or so to get it done.
Joe, it's interesting to say. This doesn't make sense for a lot of people that are listening, but gold is near record high price, and it may be the cheapest gold we'll ever get. Yeah. It is very possible, right, Joe? This might be the cheapest gold, and I know people have trouble understanding when it comes to premiums and the ability to actually buy it and get possession of it. When this thing moves and moves dramatically in the other direction, everyone's going to be saying this is, once again, the good old days. I know I said it, and then gold moved $500 this year. You know? That good old days from 2023, right? The old good old days of 2023. Well, we could be very well looking at the good old days of the middle of 2024, just next year. These things are moving fast, aren't they? Things are moving quick, fast.
Yeah. You know, when you look at it, December gold's already $2,600. All the gold for 2025. It's going to be an interesting time. The rolls of silver $50, $240 still. We still got some. Matter of fact, I think I can do 25 rolls at least one more time. One more time, $235, but that's it. And then it's going to be done. It's going to be over. Take advantage of it while you can. 800-951-0592. Another guy I love, Nassim Taleb, he was out, and again, we've talked about him. Remember, he's the Black Swan author guy, talking about how people aren't getting it. De-dollarization says it's like a death from a million paper cuts, saying that the global transactions are still generally labeled dollars, right, as the anchor currency. But the central banks are storing their money into gold. The dollar, while it's still the primary medium of exchange, what is it, like 58%, something like that? More and more countries continue to turn to gold. The U.S. will tout the high U.S. dollar percentage, right, which we do. By the way, guess what's up to the number 2 now? Gold. Yeah. How about that past the euro? They'll do it all the way to the bottom. According to Taleb, the dollar high percent in trade settlements is increasingly meaningless. In other words, Taleb is saying, hey, a lot of these countries are doing these cross-border trades. Well, they don't count those, right? Oh, well, let's not count that. That's not, we're counting the SWIFT stuff. No. And as more and more countries turn their wealth to gold, the U.S. government is going to be in what he called persistent elevation of the currency that seems to be accelerating. What does he mean by that? Can't stop printing money. Can't stop printing the money. And Taleb is saying, hey, get ready for quantitative easing to come roaring back in 2025. Jason, this setup in this gold market is ridiculous. Without a doubt, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've never seen it. I wasn't alive in the 60s when central banks were saying, hey, wait a minute. You're going to give me $35 or I can get a $20 gold piece? Yeah, I want the gold. I want the gold. That's why Nixon closed the gold window in 1971, because we went from 20,000 metric tons of gold to 8. Well, they say 8. We don't know. We don't know how much it is. We don't know what we got. We don't know. And every one of these central banks, I cannot tell. How about like Saudi Arabia yesterday? Are you guys listening? They've been trying to secretly buy gold for the last 2 years. And guess what? They finally got caught. How did they get caught? Well, people started looking, wait a minute. All of this gold got imported into the country. We know what the demand was. All this gold's left. And finally the Saudis go, okay, you caught us. Yeah, we bought another 160 tons of gold in the last year and a half. This is something, Jason, I don't think, and people don't get it, and it's hard to understand, because you know what? Like I said, it's a political year, right? Everybody's, thinking that if as long as my person wins, we're going to be fine. No.
Everyone's distracted.
No. It's really, truly, it's incredible. Then you think about gold at $2,600. Well, the central bank should stop buying it. That's what they keep telling you. That's what they say. Oh, well, gold's too expensive. They're not buying it anymore. Guess what? They're not saying that. None of them are saying it. Matter of fact, every headline you read, what does it say? Central bank gold demand's got to drive gold prices higher. What does that mean? That means these other banks that use the fiat money system just like we do are saying, hey, guess what? Our system's getting ready to break. And we're going to take our reserves and put it into gold. That's exactly what you should be doing. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Jason and I, we're going to be right back. 800-951-0592. $20 gold pieces. This is the deal of a lifetime here. And I mean that. 27, 25, 20 or more, 26, 95. Rolls of silver, $50, $240. I've got enough to her. One person wants to buy 25 rolls, $235 a roll at 800-951-0592. So word here out of BRICS. The next meeting, just to give you an update, is going to be on the 22nd. Yes, October 22nd. At that meeting, the BRICS Payment System and Clearinghouse will be up and running. They've just announced that their testing is completed. They're getting ready to launch. And then on top of this, more news now, they're going to have another category of BRICS where they'll have the dominant members, and then they'll have, I guess, like ancillary members. Kind of like we got the G7, but then we also got the G20, right? BRICS saying just that. They are going to start trading in their own currencies starting on the 22nd of October. Again, Russia's saying it will be in Russia, by the way. They're the chair this year. 34 countries are asking to join on top of the original. We got India, China, Russia, Brazil, South Africa, right? Then you had Iran, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Ethiopia, Egypt, and Argentina were the 11 now, but that is going to expand, and it looks like it's going to expand. Think about this right now. 45% of the world's population with the current 11 members, 25% of trade, 31% of GDP, and 34 countries wanting to join. Jason, this is another one of these things. Again, I think this is what Taleb is saying. Hey, listen, this is death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? The dollar is still going to get used. It's just getting used less. And what have we seen from almost every one of these countries that decides they want to become? Oh, by the way, in this article, too, they said, what was it, Malaysia, and I forget the other Asian country. I lost it here. Looks like they're in, or they're going to be two more dominant members, and I'll find it here. But either way, Jason, more countries that are going to add gold to their reserves, more countries that are going to use less dollars.
I thought Javier Milei was going to not do business with communists.
Remember apparently that changed.
He wasn't going to be involved in central banks.
Yeah.
And there he is joining the BRICS. Are you kidding me? Yeah, there's how much you can believe a politician's promises.
Yeah. Malaysia and Thailand. Those are going to be the other two, and they're getting ready to take the whole, East Asian bloc into BRICS as well. So, again, I hope you're listening. I hope you understand what this means. Because this is the problem with the fiat money system. This is the Ponzi scheme. This is Bernie Madoff. And what do I mean by Bernie? Bernie Madoff was, he was the greatest, right? Head of the NASDAQ, and oh my gosh, all the rich people loved him. Of course, guys that knew better were saying, hey, this can't be real. This is fake. They kept calling the SEC and doing all they did nothing. But as soon as too many people wanted their money back, it was over.
Yeah.
This is how you have to look at the dollar. Too many people, China and Russia and all these countries that want to join BRICS, here's what they're saying. We want our money back. We want our money back. That's what they're saying. Hey, I know that I come to your debt auctions and I buy, $5 billion today and $5 billion tomorrow and $8 billion the next day and $3 billion the next day. Guess what? Hey, I'm only going to buy $4 billion. I'm only going to buy $6 billion, $2 billion. I want some of my money back. And eventually some of it will be all like Russia. They want all of it back. So they're already pretty much done with dollars. But the rest of the world, Jason, they want their money back, and it's going to be a problem.
Bernie Madoff's problem was he simply didn't have the ability to print money.
Right.
And what the BRICS is the BRICS is the attempt to take away the money printer from the Fed. That's basically it. Right?
Or is Taleb right? Is Taleb right in saying, hey, listen, because of this, we're going to have to print way more money?
Well, yeah, that's what you do.
Right? That's what he's saying.
That's what you have to do. At the end of a currency's lifespan, you end up printing it into oblivion. So, I mean, look at that. I mean, we're at the highest interest rates we've had for a while, and now the threat of bringing them down. You talked about troubled auctions. Why are there troubled auctions? Because here's the thing. It's not like China's just selling and not buying anything.
Right.
They're buying a little bit, and they're selling more. Why wouldn't you be buying when you know this is probably the zenith possibly, or the highest point, at least for a while? And they're still not selling it, Joe? Uh-oh, then you're going to lower the rates and make it much more unattractive? So the dollar's going to get smashed here, isn't it? I mean, more selling of dollars.
That's what it looks like. That's what the setup looks like. And I like Taleb's analogy of paper cuts, millions of them, right, happening. That's the slow, painful type of situation here. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment before we come back tomorrow and talk about what the heck did Jay Powell say and do. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason. Our big pre-Fed special $20 gold pieces, $2,725, 20 or more, $2,695. And then we'll see what happens. Listen, I got the right to not honor that price if Jay Powell launches the bazooka at the meeting today and gold, crash, jumps to all new record highs. Prices will adjust accordingly. If he doesn't, then it's just a great price. Either way, you guys win. Rolls a $50, $240 today. Silver $50 at 800-951-0592. And, Jason, we're just kind of talking about really what's important. We heard from the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, saying, okay, the long-term problems are getting worse. The longer we wait, the worse it is going to be. Talking about entitlements. Remember, Medicare and Medicaid have the trouble first before Social Security. And Social Security, let's face it, they're still saying 2033. It's not going to get that far, but it doesn't matter. Jason, this is how close it is. And every delay that we put, the fact that there's not one single thing that I've seen. We're talking about a government, we'll focus the government shutdown here after this Fed meeting, right? Because they got to the end of the month. And they're going to get something done. And they'll get something done till March. Nobody's talking about cutting anything. Not a single thing. Matter of fact, all you hear is, hey, here's the handouts I'm going to give if you elect me. Right? That's all that we hear. You got people talking about, okay, gold prices are going to be really high. But if Harris wins, right, gold's going to be even higher than if Trump wins. But the thing that I don't know, here's the thing that I know. They're all saying it's going to be higher and a lot higher no matter who wins. And that's the thing. And the problem is it only gets worse. This was the last, in my opinion, this is our last good year. This was it. The year of chaos. Because unfortunately, we're going to come up with this wall, this avalanche of debt, and without a huge stock market run, you're going to see deficits jump, $500 to $1 trillion in single years. Jason, that's unheard of. That's crazy. That's nonsense. And yet none of these elected officials are talking about not spending money. Nobody. You would think on all these guys, okay, well, we're arguing about how much we're going to cut. That should be the argument. Instead, what are they arguing about? I don't know. Can illegals vote or not? No one's talking about spending cuts.
It's bad. It's bad, Joe. And, you know, for several years we were talking about the Great Reset, right? The reset. It's money. I said at the beginning of the show, money is an idea. The resetting what money is going to be here soon, Joe. That's what's getting ready to happen. And that's why all these the countries and central banks are in fear. The year of fear is what they're going to be experiencing next year, and they're putting themselves in gold because they're worried what's going to happen. What is money going to look like? Am I going to be? Is it musical chairs, and are we going to be selected out? Right, Joe? It's going to be bad stuff.
Great. Hey, just real quick, just before massive explosions in Beirut. So here we go. World War III expanding again. 800-951-0592.